Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be taking a look at the most talented high school football game ever played. And so I wanted to take a look at some of the most famous areas and some of the most famous teams for high school football. So you may have heard of large high school football programs such as Allen, Miami Northwestern, etc. And in this video I wanted to look at the greatest game ever played. And so as a quick side note, I'm not factoring in private school teams such as like IMG, Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, Bishop Gorman, etc. because those schools have national reach to their recruiting, and it thus does not reflect the talent that a specific area or city possesses if kids are coming from all over the country to play. And while top public schools also seek out talent, it's still more localized than an IMG or Bishop Gorman recruiting nationally and even up into Canada as well. So I wanted to find out what the most talented high school game of football was. So I looked at the Allen versus DeSoto 2012 season. And while Texas has had, countless esteemed high school programs such as North Shore and Austin Westlake, I really wanted to look at Allen 2012 because this Allen team was the one that had Kyler Murray as their quarterback and was quite possibly the greatest high school football team ever in Texas. So it felt like a great game to look at to see just how much talent was on the field. And they beat DeSoto in the state semifinals. Both are two of the many juggernaut programs in Texas. But again, I really had to look at the Kyler Murray-based Allen team to figure out just how talented Texas football is. And then I went over to Miami to compare the top Texas matchup to the top Florida matchup. So for Florida, the decision was easy. I took a look at the famed Miami Central versus Miami Northwestern matchup. And to keep the same time frame, again, I picked 2012 as well. That was a year in which Dalvin Cook led Miami Central to a state championship, and in the process beat a 9-3 Miami Northwestern, who were dealt 2 of their 3 losses all year to Central. And that Miami Northwestern team was led by 2 cornerbacks, both of whom went on to become first-round NFL draft picks, Artie Burns and then DeAndre Baker, who won the Jim Thorpe Award while at UGA. And what I went on to discover was that the most talented high school game ever played was not in Texas or Florida, but was actually in DeKalb County, Georgia. And this game is famed in Atlanta history, but it's a game that it's pretty much unknown to those outside. The Stevenson versus MLK matchup is pretty much unknown to those outside of the city. So it's a game I wanted to look at in more depth. And this game's often referred to as the Super Bowl of DeKalb. And in 2011, these two storied programs met to play not only the most talented high school football game ever, but what also went on to become the greatest game ever played. The game featured a combined 80 players that would go on to play collegiately, 28 of whom would play for a Power 5 team, and 11 total players between the two teams, those numbers went on to play in the NFL. 11 players going on to play in the NFL would be impressive for a Power 5 matchup in college football, let alone a public high school matchup that is 20 minutes apart from one another. And the conclusion of this high-powered football game that saw Blake Tibbs lead MLK to beat a Mike Davis-led Stevenson 50-49, and Blake Tibbs returned a kickoff as time expired to seal the win for MLK to win 50-49. And it was absolute mayhem ensued afterwards with the celebrations on the field. So just to go into some more of the numbers behind these games, MLK had 28 total players going to play collegiately in their from their 2011 matchup for Stevenson, 8 of whom went to play Power 5, and 2 of whom went on to play in the NFL. And when I bring up these numbers, when I say went on to play in the NFL, this is anyone that at least made like a practice squad. So anyone that was like a team listed on their Wikipedia. And I kept these standards for every high school I looked at. And Stevenson had an impressive 52 total players going to play collegiantez, 20 of whom went on to play Power 5, 9 of whom went on to play in the NFL at one point, including Montez Sweat, Jonathan Wynn, and Mike Davis as well, some of the more famous guys on the team. And so to compare this to the Miami Central versus Miami Northwestern matchup, Central had 26 players play collegiately, 7 Power 5, and 4 in the NFL. Again, one of them being Dalvin Cook. Miami Northwestern had 34 players play collegiately, 6 Power 5, and 3 in the NFL. Like I mentioned, DeAndre Baker and Artie Burns were both cornerbacks on that Miami Northwestern team. Both went on to become first-round draft picks. I mean, imagine having to be a high school coach and having to like coach your wide receivers around what it'll be like playing against 2 NFL-bound first-round draft pick talents. Like that is like ridiculous to think about. And then for the impressive Allen versus DeSoto game, Allen had 28 players play collegiately, 10 play Power 5, and 6 made the NFL. Again, like with the main star of that Allen team being Kyler Murray, who I believe the stat was like Allen didn't lose a game when Kyler Murray started, and I think they lost games that he played in, but he didn't technically start the game. Like they brought him in as a sub and did better once he was in, but they won 3 straight state championships with Kyler Murray, did not losing a single game either. And the DeSoto team they played against had 30 players going to play collegiately, 8 of whom played Power 5, and 4 of whom made the NFL. So certainly all 3 of these matchups were incredibly impressive, but I still just think it's so shocking how the Stevenson MLK game was a regular season game. Neither of them went on even to win in state. I think they both got out in like the 2nd or 3rd round of state, so didn't even make like the semifinals or state championship game. But again, a combined 80 players played collegiately in that Stevenson MLK matchup, with 28 Power 5 and 11 NFL. And in the Miami Northwestern, Miami Central, there was a total of 13 Power 5, 7 NFL, and then in DeSoto Allen, there was 18 Power 5 and 10 made the NFL. So certainly some crazy matchups. And sadly, I was looking up a lot of these games on Max Preps. Oh, and also all of this data is from Max Preps. You can just look up like all-time roster, and then I painstakingly looked up every player's name from those rosters individually. So they may not be entirely complete. I'm just going off of what Max Preps gave me. But Max Preps seems to have pretty good data dating back to at least like 2007, 2008. So there could have been technically a more talented game prior, but it's tough to find rosters from like the 90s or early 2000s. And then I wanted to pick a game in that sort of like early 2010 time frame, because that'll have given all of those players time to go on to make the NFL. If I looked at the 2018 game, pretty much won the occasional first round draft pick that plays, just a few years of college would make the league, and that's it. But yeah, just crazy to think about the talent on those games, in those games. And like I was mentioning, Stevenson and MLK, they don't even play versus each other anymore, which is sort of like sad to think about. That used to be such a big game in DeKalb County, and like a heated rivalry between the two teams. And Allen and DeSoto are still at the forefront of Texas high school football. Same with Miami Central versus Miami Northwestern. They still play every year. Miami Central, in fact, just beat IMG Academy recently. So it's sort of sad to see the decline. And the talent is still there in Atlanta. It's just sort of like dispersed amongst other schools now, and less in the sort of the DeKalb, Lithonia area. But when those two teams met, when Stevenson and MLK met in 2011, it was certainly a game that was, just watch the highlights in the background. A back and forth game where Stevenson was up huge. Blake Tibbs scored 3 or 4 touchdowns. Sadly, Blake Tibbs went on to get injured like when he was in college and sort of derailed his career. He was a UGA commit, but returning a kickoff, a buzzer beater kickoff to win 50-49 in the most talented game ever, it's incredible that this game isn't talked about more often. So that's why I sort of wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, that you have the most talented, not only do you have the most talented game ever played, but it resulted in the best game ever played. I don't know how you top a 50-49 last second touchdown versus your hometown rival in a game featuring 11 bound NFL players. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think the most talented high school football game is? Are there any games I should review or cover? Is there anything I missed? Again, I wasn't wanting to look at like your IMGs and Bishop Gormans. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Share with a friend, and take it easy, y'all.